Hello, we're live. I am so excited today to talk to a very good friend named Megan Mikkelson. She is here today to talk to us about toxin-free living. Her business is named Detox by Design. And it's really, really important. When we talk about wellness, we really need to incorporate clean living as well as clean eating. We need to talk today about how do we do that in our life? How do we make these simple changes that are going to ultimately lead to better wellness? So thank you very much for joining me, Megan. I appreciate it.
Jen. Thank you for having me on. This is so fun.
Yes. So will you just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to do this?
Yeah. So I will never forget, I have a 14-year-old. When she was 1 year old, I learned about a toy that was being recalled that had lead in it. And I was just shocked that a toy that I was handing to I don't even think we even owned it, but I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, something was sold in this store that potentially had lead paint on it that a kid could be touching. And I was just shocked. And I just started there and I just started learning more and more and more. I got my master's in public health and I'd worked in the public health sphere for years. And I had studied a little bit of environmental public health, but I had never gotten down to the level of understanding the lack of regulations in our country. And it goes for toys. And yes, they do get recalled, but they're put on those shelves without being proven safe. It's not until something happens that they recall them. And the same is true for all the chemicals that we have in our world, in our US, I should say, because the other countries are a lot better about regulating them. But you could create a cleaning product and sell it in a store, and it doesn't necessarily have to be certified to be safe for use. Now, if you have certain things in there, then you're required to put labels on that say stuff, based on what's in the cleaning product. But then when you get to your makeup or your skincare products, those are even more loosely regulated. So anyway, I got down this, I was so shocked. And then I started learning about BPA in plastics. And I just didn't know about that. It was 14 years ago. If you think about it, the world's a little bit different now. Now we have natural deodorants in every store. It wasn't like that. And I just started learning more and more and more. And then I started this Facebook group because I wanted to share what I was learning. And then I also sell a toxin-free skincare and makeup line because my friend was sharing with me a lot of information about all of these toxins. She was like my toxin-free guru that I would go to and ask, should I use this? Is this safe? And she was a nurse practitioner and she couldn't find good makeup that she loved. So she started her own company. And I was like, well, I'm really passionate about this toxin-free living and I really like makeup. So I'm going to start working and selling the products too. So then I created this Facebook group where I was sharing my makeup tips, but also sharing, hey, when you choose cleaners, look for this. Don't get that. And so many people were just, their eyes have been opened. And then, so this is like my whole 4-year story of going to my toxin-free living business. So then a friend of mine said, you're putting all those tips in your Facebook group. Okay, I hope you're back.
Yep,
so
there we are.
Then she said, okay, great. So then my friend said, you're doing this, but people need a little bit more hand-holding. It's kind of like a personal organizer. You can say you're going to organize something, but you kind of procrastinate or you get overwhelmed. And so I was like, you know what, you're right. People do need a little bit more hand-holding. And sometimes they want to know exactly what to buy. So I created Detox by Design to really help people not get overwhelmed, not procrastinate, and to do it in a way that's budget friendly and that they can start just living well and taking care of all realms of their health, not just what they're eating and stuff like that. So long-winded answer, but that's kind of my story.
Well, and just like you had a great example for an organizer, if you make a whole list of options for people to try to figure out, okay, do these 10 things, like where do I start? Do I start from the beginning? Do I start in the middle? Do I just pick one that seems easy? Like it can seem overwhelming, even if you made it simple for other people. So you going through and saying, no, let's go to your kitchen and just open your drawer and let's talk about what's there, what you use, can be a lot simpler for people than trying to say, here's my 10 things I need you to do. Because, all of us are, if we have 10 to-do lists, 10 things on our to-do list, usually we get done like 3 and feel bad about the 7 that we didn't get done. So It makes more sense to really kind of say to people, let's just look at your life and what you need to look at to just make some small changes, right?
Yep. Yeah. And on my podcast, I really focus on small changes, because when you listen to a podcast, you don't want to be told, oh my gosh, you don't want to take your earbuds out and think, oh my gosh, I have to go do all this stuff. It's just little changes. Even sometimes the littlest changes can make a big difference. I have a dear friend who, she had asthma, and she was using her inhaler pretty much every day. And at first, when I started teaching her about toxin-free living, she was like, no, I love my scented candles. I love my Tide. She really dug her feet in and she was like, nope, I'm not going to do it. Eventually I got around to her, and she ended up detoxing everything: laundry, cleaning, skincare, makeup, everything. And she doesn't have to use her inhaler anymore. And she has this huge sense of relief, because that inhaler, we would go on runs together. That was like her little crutch. She had to have it with her at all times. And to think that you could make such a big difference just by changing the products you're bringing into your home. And imagine if you don't have asthma, what other things are happening to your body with those exposures that we don't even know about, because they build up over time. And if we're not, I don't know, we have the opportunity to change. And that's what I promote, is just little changes can make a big difference. And you just never know. You might realize, oh my gosh, I'm not getting migraines anymore, or whatever it is. And the research definitely shows it makes a difference, but a lot of people aren't talking about it.
Yeah, that's kind of actually how I started in clean living. Was I'm gluten-free, and I became dairy-free because I had some digestion issues, and that was fixed. But I was noticing I was still breaking out all the time and having all these issues. And you buy all this, cosmetics and all this expensive makeup, and then you're like, what is the deal? Like, why can't I fix this? I'm doing everything that I need to do. And it really got me looking into what was actually in my makeup. I, at the time, did not realize that they had gluten-free makeup, that they had options for getting rid of all those common, BPA, all those chemicals that we typically don't look at all when you buy your products. And so that drastically changed my face. I wasn't breaking out anymore. I wasn't having the same issues. And I just had no idea that was even possible, that that I should be looking at makeup that was gluten-free. It's like, well, what I put in my body was what I was thinking, not what I put on my face or on myself. Right. And so I had realized through that experience that, and I kind of had the same the belief that a lot of people is that it's just too expensive. It's too hard. I don't want to spend a bunch of money on stuff. And actually what I have found is if you use better quality stuff, you require less. Yeah. So especially with makeup, if your skin's a little healthier because of the face wash and the moisturizer that you use less makeup, and then the makeup that you use lasts longer. So it's a very different. You got to change your mind about it so that you don't go into kind of, well, that's, I don't want to spend $20 for this. It's like, well, this is actually, it lasts much longer and it's better for you long term.
Yeah. And I think too, I talk about this on my podcast a lot. For example, cleaning products. There's a cleaning product for every function of your home. Has that always been that way? No.
Mm-mm.
Those are companies marketing to us to try to get us to buy more stuff. You don't need to have one, grout cleaner and a toilet cleaner and a shower cleaner, whatever it is. A lot of times you can just use one product. And so, it's not just that it's costs more. It's not going to cost more because you're going to be buying fewer things, honestly. The individual product might cost a little bit more, but if you are really on a budget, vinegar is your best friend. So,
Yes.
yeah.
It's so cheap. And that's what I've converted my family to, is using it for cleaning the counters, for mopping the floors. And it's a jug of vinegar is so inexpensive, but you just don't think about it. You see the aisles and think, this looks great for my counter. This looks good for my bathroom. This looks good for my floors. But it's, the simple get down to the basics is so important, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And for people that are thinking about that too, you just need to sort of, a lot of people don't have a lot of space to have 9 different products as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It also goes along with kind of the minimalist theme that people are trying to do more of these days. And also when you think about just the amount of plastics that all those products usually come in, a lot of people are thinking more about reducing their plastic usage. So so I actually created a subscription box service this year because people want to be told what to buy. Honestly, they're tired. They can work with me to help me detox their home, and I do that virtually. But they just sometimes want to be told what to buy. So in my box service, if you subscribe, you get one of each area of the house. So like the first one was focused on laundry and detoxing your laundry routines. And then the second one was all about dishwashing, like your dishwasher detergent, your dish soap, that sort of stuff. And so it just kind of walks you through your daily routines and detoxes them little by little. And I also just sell those products too on my website individually because some people aren't into the subscription thing. But and the reason why I did that is because you can
We're losing you there. I think your internet is struggling, Megan. Can you hear us okay, Megan?
I can hear you. Okay, I think you're back.
Yep. There you go.
Good. So, so as I was saying, there are some products out there that are safe that actually don't work that great. And so these are the products that I use in my own home that I love. And so that's why I decided to create the boxes and create my stores, because people are always asking me, oh, I tried this and I didn't really love it. And so I just use, very simple items in my store that are the ones that I love.
So are those items that you're actually making yourself, or is it items that things that you find that from your research of having a master's of public health are safe and appropriate for most people? And
Yeah. And also I support smaller brands and minimal plastic usage as much as possible. So a lot of them come in like a biodegradable container, like paperboard or something like that. So yeah, it's been really fun.
What if a patient, what if a mom has a child with eczema or certain particular allergies that they can't have certain products? Do you have that listed, or is there information on your website that talks about children that may have particular skin issues or allergies or things that they have to avoid, or asthma, like you mentioned?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if you find that if your child has eczema, it is a great idea to just completely detox all of your routines. I cannot pronounce it because it's a really, really long chemical name, but I have articles in my blog about it. It's like methyl something. I call it MI. And that ingredient is in a lot of products that, and it exacerbates, I can't talk today. It exacerbates eczema, and it's in a lot of soaps and it's in a lot of lotions. And so that is one ingredient you really want to look out for. Some other ingredients, I'll just give you like kind of my 5 tips for ingredients to look for. Anything that ends in paraben, you do not want to. And a lot of companies have pulled out parabens, and they will actually advertise that on the front cover of their product. But here's the thing, you can't trust the cover of the product, the pretty side that says sulfate free or paraben free or botanicals. You just can't trust that. And that's what we call greenwashing, which is when a company pretends to be doing something like a very clean product, but they're actually not that clean. So parabens you want to look for. And then fragrance is the number one thing to look for. And I will give an example of a greenwasher that still uses fragrance. And this one is going to shock some people. It's Mrs. Meyer's. Everyone thinks that Mrs. Meyer's is really safe because it's sold in the natural section of the grocery store. I think they even still sell it at Whole Foods. You can't necessarily assume that if it's sold at Whole Foods, it's totally safe. Mrs. Meyer's, there's no Mrs. Meyer's. It was just the brainchild of Procter & Gamble to create this new product line. And the thing that drives me the most crazy about Mrs. Meyer's is that they sandwich in the term fragrance in between essential oils. So it'll say rosemary essential oils, and then on the other side of it, it'll say geranium oil, whatever it is. And then just in between those 2 ingredients is fragrance. Now, why is fragrance bad? Fragrance is a loophole in our regulations. And fragrance can really mean anything because it's a proprietary term. So if there's fragrance in there, you may be reading the ingredient list, but you don't actually know what it is. And because I have a friend who's in the industry, the one that I was talking about earlier, who started this company, she has told me that a lot of times the companies that use fragrance, they don't even know what's in it because they just buy it as fragrance from a chemical company. And so fragrance is like the number one thing I look for. If there's fragrance in there, nope, it's not coming in my home. And now that I have completely gotten rid of all synthetic fragrances, I can spot that smell like immediately. My senses have completely changed. And you might find if you decide to detox all your daily routines, and maybe you have been using just everything traditional and conventional, you might find, gosh, everything doesn't smell good. Give it some time. You'll find that like you won't be desensitized to how strong things smell as you kind of detox your routines. Now I can't even really be around somebody who's wearing perfume or, Bath and Body Works or whatever it is. So fragrance, MI, parabens, think of a couple others. I mean, fragrance, if you get rid of fragrance, that's a good product because all the greenwashers are still using fragrance for the most part.
So it's parallel in food as well, right? So we see your natural flavoring, right? Natural flavors. And so when we talk about clean eating, when I talk about clean eating with my clients, I'm always talking about 5 ingredients or less should be on your, on the back of the box, and it should not say natural flavoring. Like, what is a natural flavor? Like, it's either apple or pear. Like, what is the actual flavor? Like, it's not natural if it says nat. Because same thing, they just put those sort of chemicals that are supposed to taste like pear or taste like peach or whatever it is that they're trying to make, but it's just a conglomeration of a bunch of different stuff. And so same thing when you're looking at clean eating, you don't need to have the word natural flavor. If it's natural, it should have a name to it. It should be like apple. Apple's an apple. That's what it is. So yeah, it's amazing what loopholes that companies can often come up with to try to circumvent what is it? I mean, it happens in food all the time. They have a natural coffee creamer. It's like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
what is actually in it? You know what I mean?
And if you compare, like, I've seen this comparison between like something sold, like Doritos sold in the US versus Doritos sold in Europe. And the ingredient list is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I get a little mad because that company is still making that product and they're making it safer and healthier for other companies. But they want to make more money, so they put the cheap stuff in us, in the US. And that's where I just kind of get a little bit mad. And then I often go down the avenue of vote with your dollar. Show them what you want to spend money on and show them that it's worth it to you to not have fragrance in your products. So you're choosing products that don't have fragrance. And eventually the marketplace does change. I mean, we've seen that with natural deodorants. 5 years ago, there weren't nearly as many natural deodorants. And now they're all over the place. Even Rite Aid has natural deodorants. Some of them, I will say, are safer than others. A lot of them are greenwashers, but that is just an example of how voting with your dollar works. The companies were noticing that people were changing their deodorant buying habits. So let's do that for the rest of the products out there. Let's make it so that everything is safe. What an amazing world we would live in if every product at the store was actually safe and didn't have harmful things in it.
Well, and from a healthcare standpoint, where the world I live in, there are more and more allergies that have developed over the last several years, and more health issues. And so I'm glad that that's caused these companies to create other products, because they have to for consumer demand. But you have to think about the other people too. Like, you have to think about, we have a nurse on labor and delivery who can't be around anything with lavender, anything like she's got certain allergies to, it causes her terrible breathing problems. If we don't have to worry about all this fragrance and stuff in our products, then we're also going to be helpful for the other people that are around us, right? The other people that we come in contact with who may have some severe symptoms related, usually, breathing problems related to those things. So we can be safe for them as well, not just ourselves.
Right. Yeah. And especially when you're around little ones, you really want to be, caring for them. And I mean, a lot of grandmothers love to wear heavy perfume, but we just, think about a little tiny baby breathing in all that perfume. I don't know. You kind of wonder what that might do.
Yeah. What do you think about if someone was going to start in their home with, just starting to detox? What room would they start with, and then what would be sort of the first step?
Well, I like to start in the laundry room, because it's pretty minimal things that you need to change out. Laundry detergent, and then if you use dryer sheets, I hope that you do not use them. They are really, really not good for you. They're one of the most toxic things that you can bring into your home, honestly. And they're really bad for the environment, because that scent goes out your dryer vent. And if you've ever taken a walk when your neighbor's doing the laundry, you can smell it. And if you can smell it from the street, from their laundry room, just imagine how toxic that is. Not only that, but it coats your clothing. And so when you think about your body and your clothing is covering up like 90% of your body, right? Then you go to bed and you sleep in your
Megan, you'll have to repeat that, because we're losing you with your internet. So.
And your face and your entire body.
Megan, we can't hear you. It's your internet is going out, because I can't hear you. Oh, we lost her. I'll just give her a minute to see if she can come on back into the live. So what we were talking about is clean living and clean eating. So I just wanted to sort of throw this out there because I haven't really mentioned this before in my Facebook group before, but we're talking about clean living because this ultimately helps with wellness. If we fix our body inside, we also have to fix on the outside too, and think about how to incorporate these clean living techniques. Looks like we got Megan back, so we'll grab her. There you go.
Yay! Okay, so I was talking about, thank you, and sorry about the internet.
It's okay. Listen, this is life. That's okay.
So I was talking about sheets, and you're sleeping in your sheets, and all of those chemicals that are in whatever products you're cleaning your clothes and sheets with, especially dryer sheets, are being rubbed on your skin. And depending on the molecule size of the chemical, it is, our skin is our largest organ, but the chemical, depending on the size of the molecule, is absorbed into your bloodstream. So that's why it's so important to think about your skin and what you're putting on your skin and how safe it is. And I like laundry because it's laundry detergent, ditching the sheets, and that's kind of it. And I have tips if there's any questions about static cling. That's one of the hardest things when you quit the dryer sheets is the static cling. And my biggest tip is just to sort your clothing by drying time, so by fabric instead of color, and just don't over dry your clothes because that's what causes the static cling. But I use wool dryer balls too to help kind of keep it fluffy and nice, and they help with the static a little bit. But anyway, so it's not that hard to start. Start in the laundry room, and that's where I start with my Detox by Design boxes too. I start in the laundry room.
Well, you just made me feel good because I converted my husband from those dryer sheets to the wool, and he kicked and fought me for a little while, but now he's actually much happier because it and you can tell your clothing feels like it has a waxy feel to it because it's got that stuff from the dryer sheets on there, and it's terrible. Like it's paper that you're just throwing in the trash. It's excess waste, and also just what's the point? Like I don't need to smell like a fresh summer breeze as I walk through that. Like, like it's okay. Like I can smell like myself. It's fine.
Right.
Or mountain breeze. They always pick these like mountain air breeze or something like that. It's like, okay, well, I'll just go to the mountains and I'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. And I think a lot of people, when they convert to natural deodorant, they have this detox period that can be kind of hard to get through. And so then they end up just going back to the toxic stuff and actually that's a good example of why you really need to ditch toxic deodorant, is because if your body is reacting and you're smelling extra worse, it's your body cleansing those toxins out. And that's why you smell. And so it's even more reason for you to be using something that is safe versus, good old Dove, which is what I used to use.
Yeah. And people can find lists there's a lot of websites that have, that are transparency with companies. You can actually find out, are they clean or not? Like an environmental working group, you can go to their website and you can put your product, if you're not totally sure, like if you're reading the label and it says natural, like Myers, and then you go, oh, never mind. This was not what I thought it was. Right. It's a good way to sort of simply go through what you have already and figure out what you need to do to change. Because sometimes you just don't know. Just like I didn't know about makeup when I first started looking through it, said, natural. And I didn't know any different until I actually went to the website and said, oh, this is actually not what I thought it was. How clean I thought it was compared to what they're saying. So, oh no, we keep losing you, Megan. I don't know if anybody caught what I just said. So Environmental Working Group is a website that you can literally put in the name of your product or the company, and it will tell you how clean they really are. Like if how well that company advertises versus what they're actually showing. So I found that really helpful when I was looking through beauty products to try to figure out if they're saying they're natural, are they really natural? And what does that mean? And how, and anything like, Ulta has that whole little green section. So sometimes you just need to go through and actually see what's on the label as what you think it's supposed to be per se. There you are.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm back.
Oh, poor thing. Oh well, that's okay. This is, like I said, this is Saturday. We're just rolling with it. You have kids, I have
Yeah.
kids. We're used to rolling with it.
Yeah, I just texted my husband. I said, please stop using the Wi-Fi. I don't know if it makes a difference, but maybe it will. I don't know. It's a constant problem at our house. And I think when it's raining, it's worse. And we live in the Northwest, so it's always raining. But
Yeah.
who knows? What was your question?
Oh, I was just mentioning about the environmental working group and sites that you can go to check the products that you currently have, because it's also not a good step just to throw everything away, right? We're talking about eliminating plastic, so you don't want to take something you've already purchased and is full and just chuck it. But
Right.
you need to know what to look for and to know which companies are actually legitimately clean or green or whatever term you want to use. But as far as I know, I usually goes to the environmental working group website. I don't know if you have other resources that you send clients to.
Yeah, definitely. The environmental working group is great. They're not perfect, I will say. So you do have to kind of, sometimes you'll search for something and it's an old version or whatever, and they're nonprofit. They need more funding to really be doing everything that they want to be doing. The Breast Cancer Prevention Partners is an excellent resource. I really love that organization. I donate myself because it's just they're doing a lot of policy work to make it so that products in stores are safe. And they've made some big changes like in California, and that we will probably see trickle down to other states too, just because companies don't want to make multiple versions of products for California. So, and that's bcpp.org. I have a Facebook group too, which with a lot of mostly women who are, learning and growing and chatting about their favorite deodorants and stuff like that. So, come to my free Facebook group too. It's called Detox by Design Insiders, if you're interested. But, I post just not random. I post like what I'm working on for the week. So I post about my podcast, what the topic is, and then education around that. So those are kind of my resources, EWG, CPP, and I share a lot of that in my group.
That's a fantastic resource. I'm really glad that you mentioned that. I didn't know anything about that, but that's a great. Obviously, these things often come from people having their own health crises or concerns, and then they sort of come up with better ways that can be help other people. And that's actually one of my things I talk about on my podcast is women helping women. That's like the most powerful force in the universe, right? Us teaching each other and learning from each other. So that's often something that I mention in my podcast. And I think that that's great that you have a group that's supportive and can teach each other, especially in different states who have different laws regarding their particular things they're allowed to say on products, right? Because California is typically a much more strict state when it comes to what people can and can't have on the shelves compared to where I live in Missouri. Oh no.
I think I'm back. I got jumbled. I heard state. So if you...
Oh, I was just saying a big group like that is fantastic because each state has different laws and they tolerate different things to be placed on the shelf. And so I don't know much about those California rules because I live in Missouri, and I know in California it's much more strict what's allowed to be advertised in products. And so having to be able to have resources to women who are in other states who can tell you of these groups that you can look up is amazing. I think that's very, very great to I learn a lot from my family in California. They often will tell me about new rules and laws that govern what I'm doing in wellness. And so it's interesting to kind of hear from other people on what they're going through.
Yeah. In policy work, they often start with California because then it potentially could be federally mandated throughout the US. So that's kind of why BCPP, that organization, tends to start there in California. So, but sometimes it benefits all of us, when we're talking about our health and our wellness. Unfortunately, we do have to have protective laws because, just like the lead in the toy, You know,
Mhm.
that shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be handing little children a toy that has lead on it, you know?
Yeah. Yes, that should be a universal law that we want to help and protect each other, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you were saying about women helping women. Women are a large, we have actually more power in the market share. When I was talking about voting with your dollars, we spend more money than men do. And most of the time because we're buying for the entire family. And so, when we talk about women helping women, let's change this world. Let's change the marketplace. Let's buy and support companies that are doing the right thing, whether it's, reducing their plastic usage or improving the number of chemicals or the types of chemicals in the products. So
Yeah, I agree. I think that's fantastic. I very much appreciate that you came here to talk to us about all these options. I think it's eye-opening, really,
yeah.
that what you think you're buying isn't always what you're buying. And so it's important to know, to have a guide like you that can tell us where do we start? How do we do this? How can we make it simple? Because, everybody I think is about making things simple and digestible, what you can learn. So I think that's, everybody's going to learn a lot from what you had to say today, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's been really fun. And toxin-free living is what I love, which it sounds a little bit crazy, but it's truly my passion. And I just love sharing this information. So thank you.
Well, it's a new year. We should follow our passions, right? That's one of the goals for this year. So
Yep.
I'm going to post her link to her website and a freebie. So you guys can check that out after this is on Facebook and recorded, and then it'll be on the very first comment. So, and I didn't have any questions that were there. Jaylene actually said that's what she started, was looking at her body products when she looked at clean living, and how to start this whole process was based upon what she was putting on her body. So I think a lot of us have that same shared experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
Well, thank you very much. And I hope that the rest of your day goes well. Is it raining over there that you?
Not this second.
Or maybe it's the teenager on the internet. We'll find out, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
All right. Well, thank you.
Bye.